Step 1 to having strong bones, no dairy. Now, the only exception I would make to that is raw goat's milk. And I think I have that on here. It lacks the enzymes to properly digest it. And by the way, dairy product, the #1 cause of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, babies suffocate in their sleep, allergies, asthma, autoimmune conditions, #1 reason for type 1 juvenile diabetes in children from consuming dairy, consuming cow's milk. 1, cow's milk is meant for a baby cow, and 2, pasteurization, homogenization, growth hormones, antibiotics, everything they do to milk makes it a completely undigestible food for a baby. Completely undigestible. It's pasteurized, it's homogenized. The big one, though, is it's acidic. It's acid to your body. And when something's acidic to your body, again, your body has to balance that with alkalizing minerals. The most alkalizing mineral is calcium. It's the most abundant. It's everywhere in the bones. It's just going to start pulling it out. Proteins attack the immune system. This is what causes type 1 diabetes often. Because the milk proteins are similar to pancreatic proteins. And the body starts to attack them. So the highest consumption of dairy in the world is the United States, Germany, Scandinavian countries, Denmark. Okay? They have the highest rates of osteoporosis in the world. You can look that up. Absolute fact. Nurse's study from 1980 to 1992. Anyone heard of this study? They took 120 nurses and studied them for 12 years. One group drank dairy, the other one avoided dairy. The nurses who drank dairy had a 3 times increase of fractures. And also whey protein. People that are drinking these whey protein powders also had increased risk for fractures as well. And I thought raw goat's milk is best. I like raw goat's milk. It's a living food. It's a living food. It has living enzymes, living bacteria. You can digest it. Raw goat's milk is so much more chemically balanced to the human body than cow's milk is. There's a lot of great, Weston Price has a lot of good information on the benefits of goat's milk. Step 2, no sugar. Damages the immune system. We kind of talked about sodas and sweets, very acidic, pulls calcium from the bone.
When you say sugar, what kind of sugar are you talking about?
I am talking, you should watch my videos on the sugar addiction class.
Okay.
But I'll tell you real quick. Okay, obviously we know the worst sugar is processed sugar, processed white sugar, which is in everything, right? We know to avoid that. So what do? We go to alternatives. Raw agave, honey, maple syrup. I mean, there's all kinds of natural sweeteners. And what I always tell people is those are a great next step. Those are fine in a healthy body, but they're not good in an unhealthy body. If I had osteoporosis, I wouldn't even eat natural sugars. Step 3, avoid bone drugs for the many reasons we talked about. It weakens the bones, causes brittle bones, all the other side effects, but it does nothing to build bone. And that's how drugs are. I mean, all pharmaceuticals that I know of, tell me if you've known one that's different, but all pharmaceutical drugs stop a function in the body. It's a temporary band-aid. They never do anything to build or bring healing or health or nutrients or anything to the body. It always stops a function from happening in the body. Okay, high blood pressure medications, calcium channel blockers. They block calcium in the body. Okay. So now we're getting into the good stuff. But those first 3 are key. Like I said, if we stop doing dairy, and we're going to talk a little bit about Max Gerson and Charlotte Gerson and the Gerson Institute, but she's hilarious, man. We'll talk about it when we get to it. Silica, #1 trace mineral for health, missing in the American diet. specifically to bone health. Iodine's another one we're really deficient in, but specifically for bone health, a lot of studies being done on silica. It's crucial for bone health. It deposits minerals in the bones. Hey, you made it. Well, I'm going to go back just a couple slides if you don't mind. Okay, we're on, Judy, just to catch you up. We're on we already talked about a lot of stuff, but we're on the 10 steps to good bone health. Okay, so I'm going to just review the first 3 for you real quick. First, it's no dairy. Okay, it lacks enzymes, so you can't digest it properly or absorb it. It's pasteurized, it's homogenized, it's acidic. So anything, when our body's acidic, the body has to maintain homeostasis, maintain balance. It pulls calcium from the bone. Highest rates of consumption in the world of dairy have the highest rates of osteoporosis in the world. The nurses study from 1980 to 1992, they took 120 nurses. Half of them drank dairy, half of them didn't. The ones who drank dairy had a triple increase in fractures. Raw goat's milk is okay. Step 2, no sugar. Damages the immune system, very acidic, pulls calcium from the bone. Step 3, avoid bone drugs. Weakens the bones, causes brittle bones. We talked in more detail about this. I can talk to you more about it later. Numerous side effects. We talked about hepatitis, pancreatitis, damages the immune system, and it does nothing to build bone. So now we're on step 4, silica. And this is silica. Horsetail. You guys seen horsetail? Swampy, marshy areas. Okay, well that's silica. And the reason it's so strong and rigid is because it's really high in silica. The highest herbal source of silica is actually bamboo. That's why bamboo is so strong. And one of the reasons a lot of Asians don't seem to age is because they throw bamboo in everything. They throw it in all their soups and stews, and it's a key component. It's a key building block, as I think, yeah, we're going to talk about. Hair, skin, nails, bones, joints, ligaments, all tissue, connective tissue. That's all part of the structure of the body, and silica is important for every single one of those. You want to have beautiful skin, healthy skin, elastic skin, silica. You'll see a difference in hair, skin, nails, everything by consuming silica. But it's also very important for the structure of our bones. And this is kind of interesting. When we're born, we have high silica levels and low calcium levels. What happens as we age is that reverses, because we don't get silica in our diets, and we're getting way too many poorly absorbed forms of calcium. So we end up with high calcium and low silica. But we need the high silica, low calcium. Otherwise you get calcification, which we talked about earlier. Cataracts, bone spurs, heel spurs, kidney stones. This was really interesting too. They found that people who had Alzheimer's had high aluminum levels in their brain. Every single one of them was low in silica. And they're doing studies on increasing silica. And when they're increasing silica levels in people, the aluminum's disappearing out of their body. Just a couple of the sources, like I mentioned, horsetail, bamboo, diatomaceous earth. Anybody familiar with diatomaceous earth? Mm-hmm. No? It's like straight silica. It's basically like decomposed fossils, ocean fossils. Yeah.
Can you eat it?
You can.
You can.
You absolutely can.
It also kills your bugs.
It also kills your bugs.
Yeah, that's what I use it for.
That's what I use it for too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I do it a little bit differently. I've read stuff on the internet that people that will take like a tablespoon a day of silica and mix it in juice or fruit or something like that. The diatomaceous earth. I have food grade diatomaceous earth. It's super cheap. It's like practically free. But it is a good bug killer. And because what it does, because bugs are so small, if you look at it under a microscope, it looks like shards of glass. And it cuts their exoskeleton. And they actually
do that to us.
No, it won't do that to us. It won't do that to us. What I do with the diatomaceous earth is I add it to my water. And especially if you have reverse osmosis with distilled water, it'll absorb into the water. And what it doesn't absorb into the water will settle at the bottom. And then you just pour it off, and you can drink silica-filled water. That's like the easiest, cheapest way to get silica.
So
Like,
back to the aluminum. Once the aluminum is gone, does the Alzheimer's go away?
Well, there's definitely a link between aluminum and Alzheimer's. There's other factors too, though. But that's heavy metals in general are very linked to Alzheimer's, but specifically aluminum more than any other.
Isn't diet important in Alzheimer's?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Alzheimer's is interesting because, you know, our brains, they look at Alzheimer's patients and their brains have like shrunk and fallen into the back of their skulls. I mean, it's just crazy how that happens. Step 5, magnesium. As I said earlier, 50 to 70% of it's in your bones. Magnesium does 400 functions in the body. Obviously, it's pretty critical to the bones, or it wouldn't have over half of it in there. So we need magnesium, very, very critical mineral. Muscle and nerve function, it's an antagonist for calcium. Green foods, nuts, seeds, beans, rice. There's lots of great sources of magnesium.